right, motorsports fans, welcome to Tuff Trax. It's the first outdoor race of 1989 on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Gravedigger is the national points leader, but he faces stiff challenges from all stars, including Equalizer, No Problem, and Stomper. And then we've got Major League Truck Pulling, featuring TNT All-American Pulling Series champions, like the Georgia Rebel and High Roller. One's a Ford, the other's a Chevy. TNT Motorsports action is right around the corner on Tuff Trax. Welcome to the North Carolina capital, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm Scott Douglas. Army Armstrong will be along in just a moment as we come at you with another sensational edition of Tuff Trax. It's been raining, torrential rain throughout the day, but the Monsters are ready to rock and roll here at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Gravedigger comes in as the national points leader, but it was a year ago in Raleigh in 1988 when Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson took this wild ride and smacked the utility pole. Now here's Army Armstrong, who's got Dennis Anderson of Gravedigger, the current national point leader, as well as the home state crowd favorite, Gary Porter.
Welcome to Raleigh, North Carolina, as 13 of the meanest monster trucks in America have gathered for a unique event. The uniqueness of this event, they're finally going to be able to go outdoors and really leg these monster trucks. Standing with me right now on my left, your current national point leader and driver of the Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. Currently number 3 in the national point chase. Standing over my right shoulder, the Carolina Crusher, basically a hometown boy in this competition. He believes he can take a win. First of all, we're going to be talking to Dennis Anderson about the track. Dennis, indoors and outdoors, there's a lot of difference.
Yeah, it is. Indoors, we're running, little short courses. We have to shut down early. We have to gear the trucks different indoors. This is an outdoor course. We're like going on 3 times long. The course is 400 foot long. So we'll gear the trucks up. We get a lot more speed, but, which we got a lot of good shutdown room out here, too. So it'll be really a fast track. But although the track is a little slick, it might not be as fast as it could be.
Are you going to be able to hang on to this national point chase? You have had a phenomenal start in '89.
Yeah, I think so. We've got a, well, like I say, this will be the first time outdoors with the new truck. We've got to see what it's going to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to run these guys down on the other end, but I'm going to give it all I've got to do it.
We wish you all the luck in the competition. The man that's going to be coming after you, standing right here on my right, Gary Porter, you have been hoping and praying for this day so you can get these guys outdoors and go after them kind of in your ballpark. How are you going to attack this track this evening?
Well, I geared my truck up for this outdoor track, the long track. I know the soil, when it's really wet here, the rain, and I think I can read the track pretty good and take a win tonight.
The wetness of the track, the tires are going to be wet. They're actually going to be muddy. How do you drive a monster truck? You're going to be running in excess of 50 miles an hour, jumping 30 and 40 feet in the air, and you're going to be landing on cars with muddy tires. What goes through your mind? Is that going to affect how you're going to drive these trucks?
Well, we're going to have to be really alert driving tonight. The on-ramps are really soft and soggy. I think the trucks will be sinking 8 to 12 inches in the mud on the on-ramps and the exit ramps. If we don't clear the cars, I think we'll sort of glide over the exit ramps and they'll be pretty safe.
What kind of speed can we be looking for in this competition now that we're outdoors?
I think we'll be running anywhere between 50 and 55 miles an hour on this particular course.
Well, that's the way it shapes up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And don't forget, we have the best of professional truck and tractor pulling coming your way also. Let's take a look at that right now.
For that, Army, we've got to go just 60 miles down the road. Modified 4-wheel drive truck pulling coming your way from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. And you can see a big Greensboro crowd has turned out to watch these sensational 4-wheel drive modifieds. First up to pull it will be Tony Osteen and the Georgia Rebel Ford.
So many people like the modified trucks. Simple reason, Ben. Chevrolet people pull for the Chevrolet, the Ford people pull for the Ford, and if you're a Ford fan, this is the guy you got to get behind. Osteen makes the test pull on a loose track, but he still muscles it out the end, so the Ford people know they're going to have something to cheer about.
Almost took it all the way home to West Greene, Georgia. A full pull for Tony Osteen, but that was the test pull. We'll see if they're going to stick with that or reweight the sled a little bit later when we come back to Greensboro for more great TNT All-American Pulling Series action. But in just a moment, it's monster truck racing action as we'll return to Raleigh, North Carolina on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. It's a great 1-2 punch coming your way right here on Tuff Trax. Scott Douglas and Army Armstrong coming at you once again from Raleigh, North Carolina, the first outdoor race on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge for 1989. We're going to look at some of the qualifying action, Army, and, you know, over the previous weeks, we've been talking about this guy right here, the equalizer, and David Morris from Springfield, Tennessee.
Well, David Morris runs a unique setup, and it could really work for him this afternoon. He'll be running the high side of the track. You'll notice there's going to be a high and a low side. I'm anxious to see which driver goes into what lane. Now, the driver's theory is the higher the track, the less water you're going to have on it because the water will run downhill. Morris literally comes out and attacks. Looks awfully good. We're in the qualifying session. Morris lays down a real good jump, smooth, and powers all the way out the end. So that shows that it can be done. Boy, this kid is starting to generate a following already, Scott.
Smooth as silk, 9.42. That's going to give him a number to shoot at here in qualifying for the TNT Monster Trucks outdoors at Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, here's the hometown favorite, Carolina Crusher from Wadesboro, North Carolina, and Gary Porter.
Well, your hometown, you travel all over the country. Finally, you get to come back. Everybody knows you. You want to lay down a good shot, and this guy can definitely do it. Now, one of the things about Porter is his truck is notorious for not braking. He will lay down a good shot. The engine looks a little bit fat as he left the starting. Now he's a little bit of problem in the back pedal, second set of cars, and powers past the finish line. Now you got to keep in mind, even on a flat surface, they're running through about 3 inches of gooey mud this evening in Raleigh.
Excellent time. That little back off probably cost him a shot at the equalizer, but right now that's a good second time. 9.69 for the Carolina Crusher. One of the most popular trucks, and he comes in as the national point leader, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger.
Scott, I'm anxious to see what lane he's going to be going out of and how he's going to attack it. He'll go to the high side of the track. Anderson notoriously wants to attack the second group of cars. The first group you got to go over, but when you come off the first group, you've got to be straight. And when he goes towards the second, he flat will pull the trigger. Now he's got a lot of problems going for him. He's trying to get lined up. Bam! Anderson had the back pedal. That will not be the run he's looking for. Plus, I believe he broke something. Oh, what a tough break. I believe Anderson lost another transmission.
10.06 is the time in qualifying for Dennis Anderson, but he's going to be out for the rest of the night with a broken transmission. So another bad break for Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger. He had some breakage problems early before the point season started. Looked great in Chicago over the last few weeks, but it breaks here in Raleigh.
Keep in mind, he is your national points leader. This is really going to hurt him, Scott.
Next up to qualify will be Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic out of Williamston, North Carolina.
Well, he also is not too far from home, but qualifying is not one of his favorite things in Raleigh, North Carolina, Scott.
Well, it was a year ago, as you so aptly point out. He broke his wrist qualifying. Let's hope he doesn't have any problems today.
Looks good so far. Now, what the drivers are having to do, and he does the same thing, they have to back out of the throttle after the first set of cars, and then they attack the second set of cars. But I tell you what, we've got some problems. Mopar Magic definitely having problems. You know, he locked up the wheel. The engine RPM stays up. Now, the track official, okay, the track official is going to have to shut the engine off. The driver has no control over it. There's an electric malfunction, and the safety crew from about 50 feet away electronically killed the engine. Part of the safety features on the TNT circuit.
A remote control electronic kill switch comes into play, and Gary Wiggins struggles again. Now, officially, electronical problems or electrical problems knock him out. And that leaves Wild Hair at the starting line now. Bob Breen, who we have seen very successfully over the last few weeks on Tuff Trax. We'll see what he's got today outdoors.
Well, Bob Breen is exactly where he wants to be. Brand new engine, brand new paint job. He's trying to start the 89 season off right. He's got a real good run going. Scott, look at this. Oh, the engine made kind of a little bobble sound, but he powers all the way through. Oh, a tough break right at the end of the track. He kicked a rod out the side. Breen will not be back.
10.13 was his run, but he threw a rod, so that's going to do it for Wild Hair. And a bad break for Bob Breen. You can stick a fork in the Wild Hair for this one. It's done, but there is going to be some great action and some great pairings. So, Army, I guess we want to look back at what was an exceptional round of qualifying and how it sets up the first round here at Raleigh, North Carolina. Here's Army now.
Well, the first outdoor qualifying session of 1989, not exactly what they were looking for, and I think Mother Nature had something to do with that. The track is so slippery that the trucks were coming out, and as soon as they hit the throttle, they go up on the RPM. That's the reason we had so much breakage in qualifying. However, there still is a story. The story is the kid out of Tennessee, the equalizer. Quick qualifying time going to Chevrolet. We're coming to first round action in just a minute.
Qualifying complete here on Tuff Trax. The Monsters on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge will match up now for the first round. And here's the way they'll come at you from Raleigh, North Carolina. Equalizer, fast qualifier against Mad Dog, then Awesome Kong against Overtime. We'll see no problem battle Clydesdale. The winner there will take on the third fastest loser in the quarterfinal round. Stomper against Jersey Outlaw. The winner meets the second fastest loser in the quarterfinals. And wrapping it up, it'll be Carolina Crusher against the Master of Disaster going up against the fast loser in the quarterfinal round. Our first matchup is going to be Equalizer against Mad Dog. John Breen, Mad Dog, Jefferson City, Missouri, lining up to go against David Morris of Springfield, Tennessee, and Equalizer.
Well, the kid out of Tennessee, the rookie, quick qualifying time, definitely going to have to keep an eye on him, but experience is going to be set to his right. The youngster picks by virtue of his quick qualifying time the lane he wants to go into. He goes the left lane, the Mad Dog comes out with him, but look at the kid come off of that ramp. He is attacking. What a beautiful run by the Equalizer. This could be it. This kid is working his way to the top, Scott.
And problems for Mad Dog, but the Equalizer just flat picked him up and laid him down out of Springfield, Tennessee. As you can see, a bad break for John Breen and Mad Dog, but the winner is Equalizer and David Morris.
Dave, what's the track like out there tonight?
Actually, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. At first, I thought it'd be real slippery and slick, but it seems like everything's pretty smooth so far, so I think the track's going to get better, though.
Here's a matchup I really am excited about. Chandler Lloyd in Overtime. Outstanding monster truck. Matching up with Awesome Kong. New pilot now, Steve Kane, who used to drive King Kong, is now in Awesome Kong.
And he took the place of Steve Dane. Okay, so if you're not confused now, you're never going to be. Chandler Lloyd driving one of the strongest GMCs in the country. He's out of South Carolina, but he picked a tough Texan to go against in this round. Awesome Kong comes out. Look at the horsepower. Immediately goes to the Chevrolet on the inside, but he's got all kind of problems. Chandler Lloyd's coming back on him. We might be seeing a major upset. We just did. Awesome Kong goes on the trailer, Scott.
Overtime, and Chandler Lloyd from Hilton Head, South Carolina, gives us our first real surprise in the matchups with a victory over Awesome Kong. So Chandler Lloyd Overtime will now match up with Equalizer in the quarterfinal round. That's one we're going to have to keep our eye on down the road. But right now, let's go over and talk to Jeff Dane, the owner of Awesome Kong.
Well, anybody that follows the sport of monster truck knows who's standing with me right now. It's Jeff Dane out of Killeen, Texas. Now, Jeff, you've given up the driver's seat, but ever since that time, you've had a lot of problems. What happened out there tonight with your new driver?
Well, this is the first time he's drove a truck, and I think he was a little hard on the throttle over the first set of cars, and the rear tires dug in real hard because the track's getting tacky now. And the rear drive shaft let go, and that in turn busted the transfer case, and then the front drive shaft, which he was under power, broke too. So, you know, we're going to just load it on trailer and go back to Texas.
Our next first round matchup will send No Problem and John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee trackside to go up against Bennett Clark and Clydesdale. Now, John Moore and No Problem obviously has had an up and down season. Bennett Clark and Clydesdale, very interesting as far as his wheelbase, Army.
Well, what you're seeing here are two different theories on what's going to handle outdoors. Bennett Clark on the left of the screen, the long wheelbase should be more stable. However, John Moore shows a quick wheelbase works for him. The left lane looks great for him. Bennett Clark having all kind of problems, and John Moore is serving notice. He's for real in 89. He'll get some points for that run.
Hold on, No Problem. Flat picking him up and laying him down, and John Moore moves into the quarterfinals with the victory. Let's go down to John Moore and Army.
Well, John Moore may have been playing possum tonight. The qualifying session, everybody expected you to take an easy run. You nailed out a good qualifying shot. That was a beautiful run we just saw here. You're for real in this outdoor series, aren't you?
Yeah, we had a little problem up there in Chicago, and I came out here to go racing.
What do you got? You got anything to say to these Chevrolet boys? Because there's just a couple of Fords out here, but you keep marching on through this thing. Anything you want to tell them right now?
Well, there's only two of us Fords, but I think that's enough.
We're flat going to find out right now if John Moore's right, because we've got a Chevy versus Ford matchup on our next first round qualification matchup here as the Stomper, the Chevrolet on the right-hand side, and the Jersey Outlaw, the Ford, come up. It's Marvin Smith, Arnold, Missouri, in the Stomper going up against the Jersey Outlaw, Mike Wine from Browns Mills, New Jersey.
New Jersey kid has been driving for about 2 months. Smith, on the other hand, has been driving for about 10 or 15 years. Smith will be in the Chevrolet, Wine in the Ford. John Moore said a moment ago it's only going to take 2 Fords to win this thing. Let's see what's going to happen. The Chevrolet, by virtue of a quick qualifying time, gets lane choice. He goes to the side nearest the camera, lays down a good run, but the Jersey Outlaw is making him work for it. Stomper going to go into the win column. Now the question is, will the Jersey Outlaw come back in one of those quick loser time brackets, Scott?
He seemed to run very well, and that's important because some of the fast losers will be coming back into the quarterfinal round. We'll see if he's one of them. Now, Marvin Smith coming out of the truck there. You get a good look at the Stomper driver right there. Army's going to hop on down and talk with Marvin Smith.
Marvin, a good run on a slippery track. What is the track like out there tonight?
The track as a whole is real slick. The way I'm trying to approach it is when I hit the cars, I try to get in a higher gear so when I come off, I can throttle out of the mud. If you don't, you're just getting sideways.
Get in a higher gear. When do you make the shift? Right before you hit the cars?
Well, what I try to do is, if possible, is get to the mound and then shift it. That way, when I come down, I'm still powering out of it.
2 names for you, David Morris and John Moore. 1 Ford and 1 a Chevrolet. They're looking awfully good tonight. Can you put them away?
I think so. We come to run. I aim to if I can.
All right, a very confident Marvin Smith, the driver of Stomper. Our next matchup in this first round is bringing the Master of Disaster out. I love the paint job on this truck. The Master of Disaster and Doug Spanier out of Albany, Minnesota. And he'll be matched up with one of the hometown favorites. There he is, the Carolina Crusher on the left-hand side of the screen.
Gary Porter will be working on the far side of the track in a yellow truck, but I'm going to keep my eye on a red truck, and I tell you why. They really stepped up on horsepower. Look at that. He comes out like a drag car. Spanier literally attacking the track. Sparks coming out. He's out of shape. Spanier having a back on the throttle. Meanwhile, Porter goes on through, and Spanier is still having problems getting across the finish line.
Boy, a nice smooth run for Gary Porter. Doug Spanier, new engine, all that horsepower, but he looked like he really had a lot of trouble keeping it under control. And in this event, it was the consistency, the nice smooth line for Gary Porter that gives him the win, moves him into the qualifying round, and we'll see what Master of Disaster's fate is for the rest of the day. Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, comes away with the victory in the first round, and Army's got it.
Gary Porter with a Carolina Crusher, another one of the trucks to figure this track out tonight. That was an awfully good run out there.
Thank you, Army. I think I got that right lane figured out pretty good, and I'll be staying there the rest of the night.
The lane difference on the starting line, it's muddy everywhere. Is there actual bite up there on the starting line that you can work off of?
It's getting drier every run, and I think by the end of the night, we'll be getting some good launches off the starting line.
You're not attacking the starting line like a lot of people. It seems like you're going into it, and then you get rolling, and then you go after the horsepower, where the man sitting next to you seems to be dialing the horsepower in, and it costs him. You just look so smooth working that side of the track. Can you hang on and win this thing?
I think I can. We're going to try hard. I'm trying to start off the line sort of gradually, not spin my tires, and then after I get my momentum up, I'll go ahead and put it to the floor.
That'll wrap up the first round of the Monster Trucks. We'll see them in the quarterfinals a little bit later. But when we return, we're going to go to Greensboro for more modified four-wheel drive truck pulling on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. Awesome horsepower and awesome action coming right back at you on Tuff Trax. Later, Tony Osteen still your leader with the four-wheel drive trucks. When we return, it's back to monster truck racing. We'll have the quarterfinal round of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge from Raleigh, North Carolina, when Tuff Trax continues. Stay right there. 6. Tuff Trax taking you all over the country for the most powerful exhibitions in motorsports. And we're in Raleigh, North Carolina once again now for the Monster Trucks. Here's how that first round went. Equalizer and overtime, picking up very impressive victory, so they'll move on. Now, no problem in Clydesdale hooked up. No problem got the win. Jersey Outlaw, the Ford, coming back as the third fastest loser. They'll meet in the quarters. Stomper and Jersey Outlaw. Of course, Stomper beat Jersey Outlaw. Now we'll have to face Clydesdale, who was quicker earlier than Jersey Outlaw. And then Carolina Crusher and Master of Disaster. Carolina Crusher won that match, but since Master of Disaster was the fast loser, they come right back and do it again as we go on now to the quarterfinal round here at Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong, and Army, overtime and equalizer. And I think of all the matchups in this round, this is the one I'm looking forward to most.
This is going to be awfully interesting because the GMC is going to be going to the inside. The youngster out of Tennessee, by virtue of quick qualifying, keeps working to the high side of the track. He believes that's a drier side of the track because the moisture's running down, and it looks to be working for him as the equalizer is having no problem at all. Look at this. This young man has got a righteous setup on that equalizer truck. It's just like he's running on dry pavement. The truck is working exceptionally well.
What an impressive run for Equalizer. We're going to look at it again, and we're going to roar it right into your living room. It's Equalizer coming on the right-hand side as you face the screen. And, boy, you can see just how smooth he is, Army.
Yeah, also you notice the suspension on that truck. All four corners have a tendency to give a little bit different than the truck immediately to his right on the inside of the track. So this truck is working, and it's working awfully good, Scott.
All right, no problem. And John Moore will take on the third fastest loser. That's why Jersey Outlaw gets to come back. We're going to get one of the Fords out of here now.
Yeah, Moore a moment ago in the interview, he said it only takes 2 Fords. Well, there's no way we're going to get past it right now. They've got to go head-to-head. The question will be, Moore out of Tennessee, will he advance or will he get out of New Jersey? And John Moore is loaded for bear, but the kid out of New Jersey gives it a shot.
So no problem, and John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee, move into the semifinal round where they'll face Equalizer. Army's going to run on over right now and talk to John Moore, and no problem after that exciting victory.
A little bit of a problem may have developed with John Moore. John, they set you on the starting line for an awfully long time. Looks like you have a heating problem. Is that going to hurt you in the next round?
I don't know. I hope I got enough time to let it sit for a little bit.
Okay, now a moment ago in our interview, you said there's 2 Fords, that's enough. Not the case any longer. You're going to be the only Ford. Can you win this thing?
It's enough. One's enough.
1989, this guy's got a different outlook, and everybody's really getting behind him. Good luck to you, bud. We'll see you in the next round.
Thank you.
You can't phase him, buddy. First there were 2 Fords were enough, now 1's enough. Here comes, carrying that Chevrolet banner, Stomper, and he'll go up against Bennett Clark's Clydesdale. Clydesdale was the second fastest loser in the first round, so it'll be interesting to see his matchup with Stomper.
You know, I'm going to pick Stomper in this run, and I'll tell you why. Clydesdale, even though he was looking forward to getting outside, he's just not making the horsepower. The truck is not quick. Stomper seems to be quick, and you're going to judge quickness by how soon they're going to hit their first set of cars. You notice Stomper's already on a card, and Clydesdale's having all kind of problems. Marvin Smith runs awfully well. He'll be advancing to the next round.
What a run for Stomper, and you know, you got to keep in mind, Stomper has told us earlier, Marvin Smith said his back is just killing him. He's really having a lot of trouble with his back, but he keeps finding a way to get in the truck, and so far it's got him 2 victories, and again, he'll struggle hard. Army's going to run on over and talk to Marvin Smith of Stomper.
Marvin, you're getting out of the truck awfully slow. What's the reason behind it?
I twisted my back real bad today. I can't hardly stand up. So what I'm doing, I got this back brace on. It helps me quite a bit. So I'm having to get in and out real easy.
Okay, you're going into the next round. You're going to be against the winner of either Carolina Crusher or the Master Disaster. Any preference who you want to run against?
It doesn't really make any difference to me. I come to beat them all.
Marvin Smith and Stomper is going to struggle along, and as long as they can find a way to pour him into that truck, he'll be ready.
I'll tell you what, Scott, the guy's going through some pain. Speaking of pain, one of these guys is going to have a little pain of their own. This is a rerun of what we had a moment ago. Now, let's remember what happened. The truck, yellow truck, Carolina Crusher was awfully smooth. The red truck, Master Disaster, was kind of erratic. Makes a lot of horsepower. Looks like a replay. Bouncing short wheelie. Now we're in trouble again on the left side of the track. The Carolina Crusher moves into the next round.
Boy, a lot of power, but the Master of Disaster hasn't been able to harness it yet, and Carolina Crusher moves on. We're going to get another look at it with the Master of Disaster coming into your living room on the right-hand side, and then on the left it's Carolina Crusher. And once again, it's Carolina Crusher's nice, smooth run making the difference.
That's what makes Gary Porter so tough. He is a smooth driver. Horsepower doesn't mean anything if you can't get it to work for you. That's a perfect example of it right there. As Porter goes past the finish line, the Master Disaster is struggling just to get over the cars.
We've got a Final Four in the Monsters, but we've got more pulling. It's the modified four-wheel drive coming your way once again from Greensboro when Tuff Trax continues. Don't go away. We're going back to monster truck action here in just a moment, but as we continue on the TNT update, Army's going to talk about driver safety with Bennett Clark, who is the driver of Clydesdale, as we continue with TNT update on the subject of driver safety.
What are monster truck drivers required to wear for their own personal safety? Well, believe it or not, standing with me right now is Bennett Clark, driver of the Clydesdale, and we're going to go from head to toe and show you exactly what the safety aspect's all about. The head is protected by a Simpson SEMA-approved safety helmet, down to the neck support to keep the driver from getting whiplash. We've told you many times these drivers take a tremendous amount of abuse. Of course, common sense is going to let you wear eye protection. That's why the goggles. Then we go down to a single-layer Nomex flame retardant suit around the driver's chest to protect the kidney area and the stomach and his lower back they all wear some type of what we're going to call a girdle. Okay, the drivers don't like it, but that's what we're going to call it. It serves the same purpose. It keeps everything intact. You drop down to the gloves. Each driver is required to wear the single-layer gloves, and on the palm side of the gloves, they're calfskin, again, to stop any type of fire. Then we drop down to the shoes. Drivers are even required to wear the Nomex type shoes in case of fire.
And yes, that was Bennett Clark in all of that equipment getting ready. Well, we've got some people getting ready right now because it's down to a final four. And when we come back, the semifinal round of the Monsters from Raleigh, North Carolina. Stay right here on Tuff Trax. Tuff Trax with you in Raleigh, North Carolina for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And we've got it down to a final four. Some great family entertainment in Raleigh. It's been a soggy, slippery track, but the racing has absolutely been superb. Let's go to Army to get ready for the semifinals.
Well, in the great state of North Carolina, we're in a familiar situation. We're down to the final four. I know these folks know what that means. The final four in our sport will be the equalizer out of Tennessee. Quick qualifying time, rookie driver. Keep an eye on this guy. But he goes against No Problem, the new No Problem of John Moore. We've come outdoors for the first time, and John Moore is putting on a war for the Ford camps. Keep an eye on him. Equalizer and No Problem. The other pairings in the next round will be the Stopper Chevrolet going against the Carolina Crusher. Marvin Smith, Gary Porter. Porter said a moment ago he wants to win for his home state. This could be the night he does it.
Outstanding Final Four. One of the up-and-coming young stars in this sport right here. David Morris of Springfield, Tennessee in the equalizer. And there's the Ford Army. The only one left. John Moore, Lafayette, Tennessee, and No Problem.
Well, John Moore said it only took one. We're going to find out right now. If we have an opportunity, I want you to watch the equalizer truck and watch how it lands. This truck, I call it lollygaggling. It has such gyrations, but it still goes straight. Now, Moore comes out on him. The kid's got to come back hard. Look at this. Oh, some great driving by the rookie out of Tennessee. We might have a problem here. Both vehicles are ground for disqualification since they both missed the ramp. However, since they both missed it, the winner will come back. That means the equalizer's going to the final.
Yeah, watch. This will be a great angle, Army, right here. You'll see they both actually missed the last ramp of cars. If only one of them would have done it, there would have been a disqualification. Since they both missed, here it comes right here, Army. They will both be allowed to survive, and equalizer goes to the championship.
Equalizer goes to the championship, but also Moore had some other problems. I noticed sparks coming out from underneath the Ford, so it wasn't an easy run. Believe me, when these guys line up, you're going to see a war.
Drive shaft strap there on No Problem, and not a major problem for him. We'll see him again, but not this time because he's out of it. We've got equalizer in the final. His opponent will be either Marvin Smith and the Stopper Chevrolet from Arnold, Missouri, or Carolina Crusher, the Chevrolet with Gary Porter from Wadesboro, North Carolina.
Well, Porter said earlier in the interview with us that he's going to build a nest on that inside track. That's exactly where he is right now. That's where he wants to be, but also on the other side, Smith is exactly where he wants to be. He wants to run on a high side of the track. Gary Porter under a little bit of pressure the other drivers don't have because this is his hometown track. He's less than 100 miles away from home, and after traveling thousands and thousands of miles chasing these national championship points, he's got a chance to go into the final, and he's looking awfully good. Oh, a beautiful run by Porter. So, Scott, when they line up for the final, North Carolina is going to be represented against the great state of Tennessee.
Carolina Crusher and Equalizer will be the final two. Right now, those two are cooling off for the championship. So let's take a minute to get a look at some incredibly detailed handmade replicas of these awesome monster trucks. There they are.
Well, you might think you're looking at the lineup of one of the TNT Renegade Monster Truck Challenge events. That's not the case. What you're looking at is the result of many man-hours by a very unique fan to this sport. Dennis, tell us how you became involved in the monster truck building.
Well, I bought a Bigfoot model one day just walking through the store and thought it'd be interesting to build it, and it just progressed on to what I build these days.
Hours. How many hours does it take to build one of these vehicles? The detail is phenomenal.
This truck right here took about 36 hours.
Okay, now how do you know how to build these trucks? Do you have to have a library of information, photographs, or how exactly do you know what you're building?
I've collected pictures and any information on the trucks for the last 2 years now. I have about 200 trucks on files.
Well, the Carolina Crusher, there you see him in the replica, and now we're going to see him right there ready to go to war against Equalizer in what ought to be a dandy of a championship matchup.
Scott, this race started in the first qualifying session. These trucks qualified 1 and 2. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They worked their way through eliminations, and they meet at the final. Gary Porter would love to take a win in his own home state. However, this kid out of Tennessee, believe me, is going to make him earn it if he's going to get it. It's going to be an awfully close race. The experience side is going to have to go to Porter. But just pure determination, you got to pull for this kid with the equalizer truck.
Boy, it's like the six-gun fight in the Old West. Here comes the new kid on the block, Gary Porter, the well-known quantity, one of the best around. But the equalizer is going to take a shot at him right here for all the marbles in Raleigh.
Boy, what a start. They lead side by side. Both drivers coming out. They're still equal. Now the equalizer starts to move it out a little bit. Oh, what a run. It cost him. Look, he lost an engine right on the end of the track as he pulls down for the interview. The kid from Tennessee will take the win.
A great race in our championship matchup. Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, got the early lead, but then the equalizer came on so strong over that last set of cars and comes up with a very impressive victory to gain a lot of points on national point leader Gravedigger, who you'll remember broke in qualifying. It's the second win of the year for a truck designed by a tractor pulling guy, Gary Morris and the monster truck equalizer. Here's Army with the winner.
Dave Morris, congratulations, your second win of 1989.
Thanks, Army.
It looked tough out there.
It was. I've been holding off just as much as I can. I hadn't really called on the truck all night, and that time I really pushed it hard, really as hard as it would go.
We'll let you get back with the truck again. Congratulations on your second win in 89.
Thanks.
A sensational, action-packed hour right here on Tuff Trax. Now, that'll wrap it up for this week. Equalizer moves closer to Gravedigger in the national point standings. Next week, more TNT, Monster Truck Challenge Racing, and All-American Pulling Series action. For Army Armstrong, I'm Scott Douglas. We'll see you next week right here on Tuff Trax.